Hi, my name is Shad Henderson. I'm running in the upcoming federal election as an independent. If you are like me, you're pretty tired of party politics and you're looking for a bit of a change. I feel like as an independent, I can represent you, Central Nova, much better than anyone in a party can, because I will not be beholden to any party leaders, which is basically what happens when you elect anyone else that is not the party leader. They just have to go by what the leader of the party says, and I'm kind of tired of that. I have many issues I'm going to bring up in videos I'm going to make over this election, over the next couple months, and this is my first one. So in this one, I want to talk to you about education. I taught English in Taiwan for 8 years, and I recently finished a Bachelor of Education degree at a Canadian university. And then I went and did practicums throughout different schools. And what I want to tell you is that kids are not learning to read from teachers in schools. The teachers were not trained how to properly teach reading. They're still stuck on this whole reading kind of thing where 2/3 of kids naturally pick up reading while they leave 1/3 of kids behind. So you see, in school, they taught us literacy for kids, elementary school kids. I was in the elementary school cohort. And the one thing I always say is when I come across a teacher, I kind of figure out how they teach. And there's 3 things I always look for to know if they know how to teach English or not, or teach English reading or not. It is if they recite I before E except after C, when 2 vowels go walking, the first one does the talking, and they start quoting about Lucy Calkins. These 3 things tell me right away that this teacher really doesn't know how to teach reading, because none of them are really relevant for teaching kids how to read. The science is very clear on how to teach reading properly to the whole of the students, not just the 2/3. The science is very clear how to pick that 1/3 of students up and bring them up to the top with the rest of the students. This makes for a better class, more enjoyable school experiences for the kids, and it makes for a happier teacher. So, through this video, I'm going to tell you my story, how I went through school not learning how to read till I was in my 20s because I had to relearn reading. And it'll explain how many kids are going through it also right now. This is not the teacher's fault, as I said. It's more of an institutional problem, because you see, most of the teachers today are in the 2/3 and they had an easy time learning to read. So you can't expect them to understand when they run into one of these kids who are in the 1/3 category, who are logical, literal thinkers, and how to bring them up. They need explicit, systematic, phonetic instructions. And that's what I got really good at in Taiwan, and that's what I had to learn how to read better. What I need from you is this. If you are a parent and your kid is struggling with reading, you need to push for change, because I've already tried this in another province, pushing for change. I went right up and had a meeting with the Minister of Education. And let me tell you, nothing's going to change. The teachers need to be retrained in explicit, systematic, phonetic instruction, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. So what I hope from this video is that parents can get together and they can start talking, and they start to push the education ministers, the administrators of schools, to look into getting some more training for elementary school teachers. Reading affects every aspect of a person's life. For most of my life, I felt shame, I felt embarrassed, and I always tried to hide the fact that I couldn't read, and it really never let me have the life I probably should have had earlier on. But I'm better now, and 98% of people can be better too. 98% of people can read, and can read great. They just have to be taught properly. So, as I was saying, I'm ad-libbing this, by the way, sorry. So as I was saying, I need the parents to get on board, and if your kid has a problem with reading, you need to push the education minister, the administrators of school. You need to get together with other parents and learn what's going on. So I'm going to give you, the parents, the tools right now to learn what's going on. All you have to do, if you don't have to listen to my life story, there's plenty of stories out there about people who learn to read later on in life. But what you can do is you can learn the things you need to learn to be able to talk to administrators and the education minister. So here's what you should do. You should go to Google and you should YouTube a podcast called Hard Words. Why aren't kids being taught to read? This is a podcast from the Educate podcast. It's about 52 minutes long. It is incredibly thorough, and it tells the history of how we got in the situation we're in. And if you listen to that podcast, you will have a great understanding of what's going on in society today with reading in general. Also, if you want to actually learn a few more things, go to YouTube and type in The Logic of English. Denise Eady, who's a Jedi Master of Reading. She will run you through some videos and you will get epiphanies like you never had before about reading. Like, why wasn't I taught this? Why didn't I know this? So with these two things, you can equip yourself with the knowledge you need to push schools, push the education minister to start making the changes that need to happen. Because reading nationally is way down. It really should be up in the 90s. It's more down in the 60s and 70s, depending on the province. And that's not okay, because we know that if you don't learn to read at a young age, it has detrimental effects throughout your life. This is a society thing. So this is not actually a federal issue, and I am running for federal politics. It's more provincial, but it is a federal issue because we need to change this, and it's so easy to change. The teachers will actually enjoy learning how to teach explicitly this phonetic instruction, as I have. And it actually makes for really great classes, and I think they'll really be open to it, because I've been actually pushed by a lot of teachers to talk to you about this because they're tired of it as well, and they're having a lot of struggles in schools, and this will only make it better. If the teachers want to get involved right now, you can go to the Logic of English website, and you can go in under teacher training, and they have a $15 PDF that you download, and then hours of videos that you can watch to increase your teaching skill. And I went through it. It's great. I'm not trying to push Logic of English, the system, but it's the one I use. But what I'm trying to say is the information's out there, and this change should be implemented right away. I've been through the schools recently, and I run into lots of kids who were just like me. They're smart, they're logical, literal thinkers, but they're having a really hard time reading because English is a very complicated language, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And until you teach it, till it makes sense to them, they're always going to have a hard time. So that's for the parents, that's for the teachers, and I'll leave it at that. I will go on to tell the rest of my story about how I grew up and things that happened in my life which relate to reading, but you don't have to watch that if you don't need to. I'm just going to tell my story after this little picture I'm going to put up. But you have enough information now to look into it and to look into if what I said is true or not. Because I'm right on this. The teachers are out there working hard, and they don't have the skills they need to kind of really get to the levels they need with their students, and it's causing a lot of issues. So that's it for now. I'll continue on with my story about how I came to learn this in my life, which I think is pretty interesting, but you might find it kind of boring. We'll see. All right. So this is Denise Eady right here. I'll put a picture up of Denise Eady. This is the girl you look for on YouTube. She is, like I said, the Jedi Master of Reading, and I hope you look into this more.